Skip the family vacation, my dad barked. It's not your place anymore. I smiled and quietly withdrew the $7,800 venue payment I had covered. By morning, my phone exploded with 51 missed calls, and one funny email forwarded by my mom. Urgent, reservation canceled due to payment failure. I just sent one short message. Every year, like clockwork, I booked the summer vacation for my family. It wasn't just a trip, it was an operation. Rental vans, a big enough Airbnb to fit everyone without passive-aggressive room fights, activities that wouldn't make dad complain, and kid-friendly stuff for the two nephews so I wouldn't get dragged into babysitting duties. I handled the costs, the logistics, even the group chat reminders when no one else seemed capable of reading a calendar. For years, this was my role, the provider, the planner, the guy who always came through. Not because anyone asked nicely or showed appreciation, but because if I didn't do it, it wouldn't happen. And if it didn't happen, I'd still be the one blamed. I was the oldest, the one with a real job, the one they all quietly leaned on while pretending they were standing on their own. My brothers, Spencer and Darren, liked to pretend they were just going through a rough patch. Spencer sold dropship junk online and insisted he was an entrepreneur. Darren did part-time gig work but somehow always had time to post 6 Instagram stories a day from the gym. Neither had paid rent in years. Spencer lived with our parents and Darren floated between girlfriends' apartments. Whenever bills came up, they'd both glance at me, half joking, half expecting. And I always caved. I used to believe it made me a good person. This year, I found a beautiful private lodge in Oregon. The place looked like something out of a luxury catalog. Lakefront, fire pits, an outdoor sauna, 10 bedrooms, and a massive kitchen so my mom could bring her baking obsession along. It cost $7,800 for the week, and I didn't even blink. I paid it up front. I didn't tell anyone. I wanted it to be a surprise. Or maybe I just didn't feel like hearing Spencer ask me to throw in an extra $500 so he could bring his new girlfriend, who he'd known for 3 weeks. The irony? I wasn't even excited about the trip. I was already bracing for the usual drama. The complaints, the ungrateful muttering, the last-minute demands for upgrades. But there was a sixth sense of duty built into me, a muscle memory of being the one who held the whole dysfunctional machine together. Then came the barbecue. It was 2 weeks before the trip. We were all at my parents' place, grilled burgers, beers, the usual suburban illusion of harmony. Out of nowhere, Dad pulled me aside near the garage. There wasn't any warning or build-up. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "Skip the family vacation. It's not your place anymore." That was it. He turned and walked off like he hadn't just thrown a grenade into 15 years of sacrifice. No explanation. No follow-up. I stood there, looking at his back as he rejoined everyone like nothing had happened. My mom was laughing with Darren's kids. Spencer was half lying about some business call he had to take. And I just stood there, not even shocked, because deep down, I think I'd always known this was coming. They never really saw me as part of the family. Just as the guy who paid the bills. I didn't argue. I didn't ask what he meant. I didn't tell him I'd already booked the trip, or that I'd fronted the entire cost. I just drove home in silence, logged into my bank account, and requested the full $7,800 refund. It processed instantly. I also logged into a few other things. The utilities account I'd been quietly paying since their electricity got shut off 3 years ago, the tuition payment portal for Darren's daughter, the auto payment I set up when Mom's car needed new brakes. All frozen. All cancelled. I went to bed early that night, and for the first time in what felt like years, I didn't wake up with my jaw clenched. By 7 a.m., my phone looked like it had been struck by lightning. 51 missed calls, mostly from my mom. A few texts from Spencer. Even Darren had broken his usual silence to send me a confused message about some problem with the Airbnb. But the best part was the forwarded email from my mom. Subject line: Urgent, reservation canceled due to payment failure. I didn't even read it. I replied with one message. This isn't over. They had no idea how right I was. After I sent that one message, this isn't over, I put my phone on silent, threw it into my gym bag, and left the apartment without looking back. I didn't need to hear the voicemails, read the texts, or explain myself. They wouldn't understand even if I did. 2 hours later, I came back to a phone that looked like it had been hit with a digital hurricane. Group chat chaos. Missed calls. Voicemails labeled urgent. Apparently, the panic had spread fast. It started small, a few messages from Darren asking if I'd heard anything about the venue. Then Spencer chimed in, saying the reservation had been accidentally cancelled, and that he was on it. He tried calling the lodge directly, using his real name, but gave them the wrong confirmation number. Then, trying to salvage it, he used an old email I hadn't touched since 2016 to impersonate me. The lodge locked the booking account and flagged it as suspicious. So that plan died fast. Darren, always ready to act like he was in control, tried to book the place again under his own name. He rushed a wire transfer, probably trying to beat Spencer to the punch. Problem was, he used a checking account that hadn't had enough funds in months, the same one he overdrafted twice in February. Payment bounced. The lodge blacklisted both attempts and marked the property as unavailable for rebooking for the next 30 days. So the place was gone. Officially. And they still didn't realize it was me who canceled it. The group chat looked like a car crash. Mom, did anyone confirm payment? Spencer, I assumed Cole was taking care of it like usual. Darren, no one told me it was my job this year. Dad, stop acting like children. Get it sorted. Cole? I didn't answer. Instead, I sat on my couch, opened my laptop, and pulled up the spreadsheet. I'd kept it for years, mostly out of habit. It tracked all the money I'd spent on the family since I started working full-time. Mortgage top-ups, car repairs, bailout loans, grocery runs, everything. Over 8 years, it added up to just over $181,000. Not a dollar had ever been paid back. The more I scrolled, the calmer I felt. So I kept going. I logged into the Hulu account. Cancelled it. That was for Mom's baking shows and Spencer's late-night binge habits. Then Netflix, cancelled. Amazon Prime, gone. The family's Spotify plan, shut down. Even the cloud storage account Spencer used to back up his business files was tied to my credit card. I hit cancel on that too. Every convenience they used without a second thought was gone in under 10 minutes. That evening, I poured myself a drink and watched it happen in real time. Spencer messaged me directly asking if I knew anything about the lodge and also whether the streaming stuff was down. Darren asked if I could just make one call to the owners. Mom tried to guilt-trip me with a long message about how disappointed the kids would be. Then came her voicemail. Her tone was polite, careful. Cole, I think some things are being shut off. We're all a little confused right now. Can you call me when you get a chance? Still no apology. Not even a hint of ownership. Just confusion that the machine had stopped working, not realizing I had been the engine the whole time. I didn't return the call. Instead, I opened a new browser tab and booked a solo trip to Iceland. Same week they were supposed to be in Oregon. I'd always wanted to go. Northern lights, geothermal spas, quiet landscapes. No family group chats. No guilt. Let them figure out what life looks like without me carrying the load. They wanted me gone. Now they'd get to see what that really meant. By the end of that first week, the panic had settled into something worse, desperation disguised as casual concern. I saw it coming. The shift from chaos to calculation. They weren't just confused anymore. They were starting to understand what it meant to lose me. Not just my presence, but everything I'd been doing behind the scenes. The messages started soft. Spencer sent a gif of a dog on fire with the caption, "Family vacation planning RN," like we were all laughing about this together. He followed it with, "No pressure, man, just let us know where your head's at." A few hours later, Darren texted a link to some cabin he found online, a place that looked like a crime scene out in rural Idaho. He said it was still decent, and asked if I could just cover the deposit real quick, so they didn't lose the booking window. Still pretending nothing had changed. I didn't answer. The next day, Spencer's tone got clipped. Said I was being unfair, and that I had no right to go radio silent over a family misunderstanding. Darren left a voice note that started with him pretending to check in, asking if I was okay, then slowly shifted into a rant about how I'd made things complicated for no reason. He ended with, "You act like we begged you to do everything, but nobody asked you to take it all on." I didn't play the message twice. I didn't need to. By the end of that day, Mom left her own voicemail. This one was different. No guilt, no commands. Just a carefully phrased statement. She was worried about me, that Dad's words had been taken the wrong way, and that we all say things we don't mean when we're overwhelmed. Then she added something I couldn't stop thinking about. We know you've always gone above and beyond. Maybe too far beyond sometimes. Too far beyond. That line hit harder than I expected. Not because it hurt, but because of what it revealed. They never saw what I did as generosity. They saw it as overstepping. Me trying to control everything. Like I was somehow in the wrong for preventing them from collapsing under their own irresponsibility. So I went further. Monday morning, I sat down and started cutting more ties. The cell phone plan I'd put the family on years ago to save money? My name was still on the account. Cancelled. The home appliance warranty I'd been quietly renewing since the dishwasher broke? Gone. Darren's car loan, the one I'd co-signed on and made payments for just to protect my own credit score? Stopped. They'd already drained me of most of it. Let them finish the last stretch alone. Then I opened my budgeting app and stared at the loan I'd given Spencer last year. $9,500, no interest, no paperwork. He called it a temporary boost for his dropshipping business. He'd posted a photo of a fake Rolex 2 weeks later and never brought the money up again. So I made it official. Sent a formal email with a repayment schedule. Nothing aggressive, just factual. Dates. Amounts. Bank info. He never replied, but I saw he read it. That night, I poured a drink and checked the family group chat for the first time in days. It used to be called Fam Vibes 2025. Now it had been renamed August Trip Revised. The whole feed was one long train wreck. Darren had tried to book another lodge, only this time he listed himself as the CEO of a made-up company so he could get a corporate discount. They flagged his ID and voided the contract. Spencer tried renting an RV to turn the trip into a road adventure, but forgot to renew his license. Mom had reached out to a local church that sometimes offered family retreat space, but they were booked for a youth camp. I kept scrolling. At one point, Darren posted a photo of the cabin they were now considering. It was a moldy shack near a dried-up riverbed with a broken fence in the background. No sauna. No lake. Just a gravel lot and sadness. He asked if everyone was cool lowering expectations this year. No one replied. Their budget was $3,000 short. They were trying to pool funds, but Dad's credit card was maxed, Mom's was never hers to begin with, and Spencer's girlfriend had backed out once she realized it wasn't going to be the lake house. That's when it really sank in. They weren't just scrambling. They were unraveling. The entire structure of how they operated was built on the silent assumption that I would always be there to catch what they dropped. Now they were choking on the fall. And for once, I didn't feel the need to fix it. By the end of the week, the silence I had kept was doing more damage than 1,000 arguments ever could. What surprised me most wasn't that they were scrambling. It was the strange, crooked ways they started reacting to it. My absence had broken something deeper than vacation plans. It broke their illusion that they were in charge of anything. It started with a knock on my door Thursday night. Spencer. I didn't even know he remembered my address. He showed up in gym shorts and a half-sipped hoodie, holding a bottle of cheap whiskey like we were in college. No text ahead, no warning. He just stood there, giving me a weird, forced smile like we were on some kind of sitcom reunion episode. Said he was just in the area, and wanted to check in. Told me I was right to be upset, that Dad had been out of line. He called him the old man, like we were suddenly co-conspirators. Then, mid-ramble, he dropped it. He'd found a way to salvage the trip, and needed a couple $100 to lock in the deposit on a new place. Just a small jumpstart. Said he'd pay me back immediately. The same way he promised with every business idea since 2018. I didn't say a word. Just slowly closed the door in his face while he was still talking. 15 minutes later, I watched him from the window sitting in his car, probably trying to come up with a new plan. He stayed parked for another 20 minutes before finally pulling away. No text, no goodbye. The next morning, I got an email from my bank. Fraud alert. 3 failed login attempts on one of my old checking accounts. I already knew who it was. Darren. He wasn't subtle. The device trying to access it was labeled Samsung tablet, Portland. The same beat-up tablet I helped him reset twice last year. He must have figured he could guess my passwords, Maybe he thought I still used the same weak ones from when we were kids. He was wrong. I didn't report it. Not yet. I wanted to see how far they'd go. That same afternoon, I got a different kind of surprise, an actual email from my mother. Formal, clean, and almost professional. Attached was a new vacation itinerary, nothing fancy. Flights, a rental car, and a small Airbnb near a nature trail. It was modest, but everything was covered. She wrote that they had pieced it together with what they could. Said she understood if I didn't come, but hoped I knew I was still welcome. It was the first time she hadn't begged, pressured, or guilt-tripped me. The tone was almost respectful. I stared at the screen for a long time. But then, not even 3 hours later, I got another alert. This one from PayPal. An attempted $2,500 charge to something called Vacation Management Group, out of Arizona. It was flagged, blocked, and reversed immediately. But the name on the transaction gave it away, Darren's email, the same one he used to try to order an iPad once on my old family Amazon account. So they were still trying to tap into my money, even while pretending to make things right. That's when it became clear. It wasn't about fixing anything. It was about resecuring control. If one approach didn't work, guilt, kindness, nostalgia, they'd try something else. Something lower. Later that evening, I got a single text from Dad. Enough games. That was it. No greeting. No punctuation. Just 2 words from a man who still believed that dominance and silence equaled authority. Like he was scolding a child. Like everything I'd done for them over the years could be wiped away by his irritation. I didn't reply. Instead, I sat down and booked one final addition to my Iceland trip. A glacier helicopter tour I'd debated for weeks. I clicked confirm without hesitation. First-class ticket, full upgrade, everything. Let them go on their stripped-down road trip, arguing over who forgot the groceries, dealing with a leaking cabin roof and no Wi-Fi. Let them explain to the kids why the cool house on the lake was suddenly a dusty Airbnb near a trailhead with bad plumbing. They had made it clear I didn't belong. Now they'd see what life looked like without me, not just during vacation, but for good. The trip date finally arrived. I was sitting in the lounge at JFK, sipping espresso and watching soft gray clouds drift across the tarmac when my phone buzzed. Group chat. A blurry photo of Spencer standing outside a cabin that looked nothing like the lodge I had booked months ago. Sagging roof. Dead grass. A faded red canoe flipped over in a dirt lot. Darren had captioned it. Adventure mode activated. No one reacted. I didn't open the chat again. My flight to Reykjavik took off just before midnight. 8 hours of silence over the Atlantic, uninterrupted by demands, guilt, or someone asking if I could just cover this one last thing. I turned off roaming. I was gone in every sense of the word. The first few days in Iceland were like waking up after a long, heavy sleep. I hiked across volcanic fields, stood under waterfalls, and floated in the blue lagoon while steam rolled across the pale sky. I didn't think about them. Not out of spite. There was just no space for it anymore. My mind was finally mine. But even from thousands of miles away, the fallout continued. When I turned my phone back on after the 3rd day, the real unraveling had begun. There were 15 new emails from Spencer. The tone changed with each one. The first few were sarcastic. Then came a strange, half-apology that managed to include the phrase, "But you've always kind of acted like you were better than us." Then silence, until the last one. A forwarded message from the Airbnb host they'd finally settled on. Apparently, Darren never verified his identity properly, and the payment had been flagged as potentially fraudulent. The booking was cancelled mid-trip. They had 48 hours to leave the property. No refund. Then Darren emailed me directly. Not through the group chat. Not even through text. A long, rambling email. The kind someone writes late at night when everything's gone sideways. He said he was sorry for trying to get into my accounts. Said he was panicking. Said he didn't know how much I'd really done for the family until everything started slipping through their hands. He said the vacation was a disaster. That Mom was upset, the kids were bored, and Dad had barely spoken to anyone in 2 days. He didn't ask for money. He asked for advice. That was the most unexpected part of all. And for a minute, I almost answered. But then I remembered the years of silence from them when I needed help. The dismissiveness. The guilt trips. The arrogance. I remembered what it felt like to hear my father say, without hesitation, that it wasn't my place anymore. So I closed the email without replying. When I landed back in New York a week later, I didn't check the group chat again. I didn't answer the missed calls. I didn't look at their photos or their messages. Whatever family they had without me, they could keep it. Because for the first time in years I had one too. Me. When I landed back in New York, I didn't tell anyone. No update to the group chat. No home safe text. I stepped off that plane, got into a cab, and rode quietly through the city while everyone else scrolled their phones or slept. The streets looked exactly the same, but I felt different in every possible way. Like I'd peeled off a version of myself I'd been wearing too long. I spent the first week home in silence. No background noise, no calls. I didn't check my email for 5 days. I read, cooked for myself, walked through unfamiliar neighborhoods just to feel unknown. I didn't miss them. I thought maybe I would, that there would be some twinge of guilt or longing. But there wasn't. Just space. And peace. Then, a letter showed up. Real envelope, no return address. Inside was a photo. It was a picture of the family. All of them, standing in front of a tiny gray cabin somewhere out in the woods. The kids were squinting in the sun, Darren had sunglasses on his forehead, and Spencer was holding a fishing rod that looked brand new. They were smiling, stiffly, but smiling. Taped to the back was a yellow sticky note. 4 words in my father's handwriting. We figured it out. That was it. No. Sorry. No long explanation. But still, unexpected. Because Dad wasn't the type to write anything at all, let alone something that sounded like an admission. I didn't know what to do with it. I left it on the counter for 2 days, glancing at it every time I made coffee, like it might turn into something else. Eventually, I threw it in a drawer. A week after that, Mom sent another email. This time shorter. She said she'd heard I was back and hoped I was well. Then she added something that stopped me cold. We've been thinking about getting a second job, just to cover things without putting it on you. It's not your place anymore, remember? The last line, hers. Not his. Sarcastic? Maybe. But it was the first time she'd referenced what had happened without pretending it didn't. Then came the second surprise. Darren paid back the first installment of the money he owed me. Just $250. But it came with a note. Starting small. No hard feelings if you ignore this. I get it now. I stared at the notification for a long time. Not because I believed they'd changed. I didn't. But something had shifted. They weren't trying to drag me back. Not with guilt, not with money, not with panic. They were trying to function. Even if they were bad at it. I didn't respond. Not because I was angry. Because I didn't want to be pulled back into something I had finally stepped away from. I built new routines. Paid off the remainder of my own student loan. Taken on 2 new clients. Started sleeping without waking up thinking I'd forgotten something for them. The weight was gone, but it left behind a shadow. I knew I'd always feel it. That reflex to fix, to smooth things over, to say yes. But now, when that instinct showed up, I just sat with it. Watched it pass. Months later, I got a wedding invitation. Spencer. The envelope was addressed with my full name, not Big Bro, or the bank. Inside was a handwritten note. 3 lines. If you show up, we'll know it meant something. If you don't, we'll know that too. Either way, thanks for everything you did. You held us up for longer than we deserved. That one stayed on the table longer. I didn't go to the wedding. But I didn't throw it out either. I still haven't. Maybe it's not forgiveness. Maybe it's not closure. But it's something else, a different kind of ending. One where they live with what they've lost. And I live with what I finally chose. Not freedom from them. Freedom for me. That's all I ever really wanted. It's been almost a year since I closed that chapter, and life is quieter now, in the way that feels earned. I didn't go to the wedding, but I heard through a mutual friend that it was small. Spencer apparently made a speech and mentioned me. Said something like, "Every family has someone they lean on too hard. We're still learning how to stand on our own." No one recorded it. That's probably for the best. Darren's been making monthly payments like clockwork. Never more than the minimum, never with any follow-up message. Just quiet consistency. I actually respect that more than any apology. As for my parents, no contact from Dad. But Mom sends short emails every now and then. Usually a link to an article, or a photo from her garden. No pressure. No guilt. Just normal. I still haven't visited. Haven't decided if I ever will. But every now and then, I think about that photo. The one from the cabin. I didn't throw it out. It's still in the drawer, under a stack of takeout menus and spare keys. I see it when I'm looking for something else. And for the first time in my life, it doesn't make me feel like I failed them. It just reminds me I finally stopped failing myself.